Hey there, it's Fight here with a video without me in the video. I have a cold, I look horrible, and as a result I feel a bit self-conscious, so there you go, just a screen capture. And this whole thing is about how to attract pre-qualified clients, and it really is part of our ACT formula, the A.C.T, the attraction or attention stage, the conversation you have afterwards, the touch points where you send the right message to the right people at the right time, and finally transformation. And this whole thing came out of the observation that a lot of people have beliefs or limiting beliefs when it comes to the attraction part. That most people know that they can deliver something, they know that they can ultimately automate and systematize their marketing, but that first step, the first system, that's what they need most help with, and that's why I'm shooting this video here for you. So how to attract pre-qualified clients. What you're seeing here is a particular case study. It's work I'm doing for a rather large SaaS company, software as a service. They have hired me to look at their marketing, and what they did is they asked me to look at two particular videos which are being split tested, different ideas in it, and they're part of a marketing funnel. So I have the numbers, I have the stats of what works, what doesn't work, I have the ads, etc. But of course, it's confidential information. I can't show you exactly what's going on there. But what I can do is I can show you a couple of the observations that went into it and my recommendations for them. So the big thing you're seeing in the marketplace, and what I mean by seeing in the marketplace, is what is being taught by a lot of people who come from background of direct response marketing. Direct response marketing in the style of Dan Kennedy, of John Carlton, of all these guys who learned about attention-grabbing headlines and power words and the grease slide and getting people on the yes train and all this good stuff. What you're seeing there is, well, first of all, there's the whole concept of the attention-getting headline. And don't get me wrong, you need to get people's attention, absolutely. If you don't get someone's attention, no matter what you do afterwards matters or makes any difference, because they'll never see it. So you need to get someone's attention. But, and that's a huge, huge issue, with these attention-getting headlines, whether they are, hey, I sat down at the piano and started playing and blah, 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 or how to get X without Y, there's one massive, massive problem, and that is, it is not social. And when I say it's not social, it is not appropriate for a social environment. And let's face it, 2019 and beyond is about social. That's where a ton of traffic is, a massive amount of traffic for almost every single business on this planet. So if you're not taking advantage of this incredible goldmine that is Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising and YouTube advertising, seriously, that is like throwing money out of the window, which incidentally what you're hearing in the background here is open window. Finally it's a sunny day, and the neighbor of course is, I don't know what he's doing, he's sawing something, so excuse the noise in the background. Anyway, you might argue, well, who gives a toss, right? It's not social, then a few people less are going to respond. There's a problem with this. Yes, make no mistake, this power word-oriented, the very specific solution-oriented, the very calling out a specific feature or something like that type of copywriting still appeals to the 1% or the 3% maybe, the 1-3% of the people it is written for. But the problem with social environments is that the 97%, the 98%, the 99% who don't feel spoken to with that particular power word driven headline, they feel annoyed by it, and they will do one of two things. They will either give you negative feedback, and you don't even see this. They will block you, they will say, look, this is an annoying ad, they will leave negative comments, something along those lines. Either it's that, and that sends a huge signal to the Facebooks, to the YouTubes of this world, and they measure this kind of stuff, and they go, you know what? This does not seem to create a good user experience, and as a result we will go and punish you, and we typically punish you in the form of not showing your ad, or we're driving the prices, the click prices, the CPM prices sky high. And if you've done any sort of Facebook advertising and you're just wondering, it's like, how come this has had exposure of 40 people and that kind of stalls? Well, what happened is someone clicked a negative response, either a thumbs down or a hide this ad or I don't like this ad or something along those lines. So that's one of the things that can happen, and it is very, very, very expensive. So that's one of the reasons why attention-getting headlines are bad news. The second one is that if you have a curiosity-driven offer where you go, look, here's some awesome stuff, and then you don't explain it in your ad, you're driving people to your landing page. They will arrive at that landing page, and more often than not, they'll just go, you know what? I don't think it's worth signing up. And I can't share exact numbers from this company, but I can tell you they have tried this approach, curiosity-driven, how I did X, Y, Z, and it was very, very promising. And then once people get to the landing page, you suddenly go, whoa, they only have a 10% opt-in rate. And seriously, with a good social ad, you should be aiming for about 50%. Not 10, not 15, not 20. No, 50 is the thing where you start getting happy. Why? Because it is self-supporting. It's the 50% is a signal, again, to the Facebooks, to the YouTubes of this world, that people are finding what it is they're looking for on that landing page. And as a result, this is an ad that can be supported by showing it to more people and lowering the ad prices or the cost per click or the CPM. Whereas if you have a 10% and people bounce back, that's a signal that this is not a good ad. It's not a good user experience. So this is, unfortunately, still what you're seeing in the marketplace. A lot of direct response marketers teach these things, and it is kind of a vicious circle. You go, well, this clearly isn't working. I'm not getting the response I'm after. So I will try more power words, and I will try even more blind bullets and more bonuses at scarcity and urgency and crap. And do yourself a favor and go and read the comments underneath ads. That's what I spend a lot of time every single day. And I can immediately spot one ad that is not going to run for a long time, because the moment you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a handful of negative comments, people just basically taking the piss out of you using urgency and scarcity when it's clear it's fake, when it's promising something that's not immediately being delivered, that ad is not going to create a positive ROI. Alrighty, so, and of course, related to that is then if you want to, that's what is being taught again, and it all goes back to the overuse of sales psychology and urgency and scarcity. The moment you have to bonus people into signing up with you or checking out your offer, it's the begging, bribing, and bragging. Look at me, look at my credentials. Please sign up. There are all these extra bonuses. All of this creates, under the surface, such a negative experience. And unfortunately, the big boys, the big players, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, they measure this. And the moment they measure it, they punish you and your ad goes down. So, what works so much better in 2019 is, well, something that is obviously social, right? Social messages. So, for example, the first one was, well, how to. Forget about how to, right? That's not how you would talk at a party. At a party, you might go, man, I made the steak. How I made the most amazing steak ever. And now you're talking about yourself, and people can choose to come in and join because they're interested in barbecuing, or they can choose not to. There's a subtle difference. The how to is turned into a how I, but it's basically all to do with the fact that you're telling stories. Now, I told you I can't give you precise numbers, but here would be an example where you get 13,000 clicks and only 2,000 signups. That is not a good ratio. It is under 20%, or whatever it is, 16 or something like percent. That is a signal. That's really, really bad. And one of the reasons they ended up with this rather bad ratio is that they didn't pre-qualify, like I say here, the living daylight out of those who saw the ad. This was an ad, or is an ad, I hope they will fix it, that makes all kinds of promises and is basically driven by the one big benefit, the one thing everyone wants, and that once they come to the next page, they just go, oh, you know what, it's not worth it after all. I'm not going to hand over my email address. Whereas if you spend the time and energy and focus to pre-qualify to the nth degree in your ad, which incidentally should not read like an ad. It should read like a story, right? Where people align with your story. And by the way, all of this here is now actually coming up to a core point, namely the aligning with a particular belief. So in the beginning I said, hey, look, a lot of people who look at the ACT framework are not quite sure they can actually do this very first step, the getting the attention, the right kind of attention where they can actually make ads profitable, right? That's the key thing. So I now need to make a case for the fact, the situation that it is possible to attract highly qualified or highly pre-qualified clients from, for example, Facebook. And if at the end of this presentation here you believe in that, you are now aligned with the message, and as a result, the ACT framework may well work for you. Whereas if at the end of this you go, oh man, I don't think so, I still don't see how I could possibly attract someone through Facebook. Well, in that case, you wouldn't be a good client for me, because I'd be constantly battling with your underlying disbelief. You're just going, well, you need to convince me, please show me. And that would be disserving both of us. I couldn't serve you because deep down you don't believe that Facebook ads work for you. And of course, all my energy would be going down the wrong side. So anyway, that core idea of having someone align with you, it's not something I've invented. It's been around for a long time, and I'm going to show you the part of where it comes from in a second. So really, in this pre-qualifying, you want to polarize your prospective clients as much as you can. Namely, either they align with your core message, your core belief, and I've kind of hinted at this in the previous email. Either they believe in it or they don't. So here's the example then, that is from Slack. It's a conversation. I had to blank out a couple of things. So let's go through this here. I asked the CEO of this company, well, what would you say is the number one polarizing element in both those videos? So like I told you, there were two videos. I had to look at how they fit into the overall funnel. So my question is, what's the polarizing element in both the videos as well as the product? Because what I found is there wasn't one polarizing element. They were doing the usual thing. Hey, here's a nice little framework, and it does cool things, and here are bonuses, and all that kind of good stuff. But there wasn't one thing where you get people to align with that message and say, that is what I want. So, like I say here, what I mean by polarizing is this. It's similar to Russell Brunson's, we talked about Russell Brunson earlier. Russell Brunson's epiphany. So if you've not read Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, do yourself a favor and do that. It is a fantastic book. The title is a little bit misleading. It's not about, well, it's more than Expert Secrets. It really is how to do fundamental marketing in today's age, in 2019 and beyond. So in it, he has that concept of the epiphany, where people go, oh, I finally understand. And although it's not quite the same thing, it is very, very similar. It's a concept I've learned many years ago, and it basically goes along those lines. If I believe X to be true, and I believe X to be possible for me, then I win. If, on the other hand, I don't believe X is possible, or X is possible for me, then I lose. And kind of the way you do it in those ads I mentioned on the previous page, and your copy and your videos and everything you put out there, is you demonstrate that those who do X win, and those who don't do X lose. I've seen an example by, for example, Rich Schefren. Rich Schefren went in and said, those who get a solution just in time, whenever they face a problem, they go and look for the solution right now, they win. Whereas those who just collect information randomly, and just in case at some point need Facebook advertising, I'm now getting a Facebook advertising course, they will ultimately lose. And he repeats that message throughout, over and over again. And it kind of made sense to me in the beginning intellectually, and I only truly got it when I started applying it. And it only recently really made sense to me that this is very, very similar to Russell Brunson's epiphany. It's such a fundamental concept in marketing, and I'm trying to, 15 minutes to drive home this message for you, that you go and try it out. Look at any of your marketing and ask yourself, what is the one thing people need to absolutely believe, and not only believe, but believe to be true for them and possible for them to succeed. And then you basically go out and say, if you align with this, you will win. Or those who align with this win, and those who don't, won't. It's as simple as that. So when I watched those two videos, there were basically two core concepts in there, and I don't want to give away what company it is. I had to sign an NDA, so I can't be too specific here. But they had one concept in there, and that's my point number one. The whole blah, 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 blah thing, it basically can be summarized as those who do this thing win, and everybody else loses. And the fun thing is, as I sort of say in the last sentences here, they basically had those core elements already there, but they're not formulating it in a really simple and almost in-your-face message. They really need to say explicitly, those who do X win, and those who don't, they lose. Right? Ultimately, you want to get your prospective clients to say, that's right, I knew it. Now that I know it, I can do X, and I understand that X is the only way of achieving my goal, namely winning. And the only reasonable way to do X is to use, in this case, it's their product. So that, to me, is the simplest message they have. They have got another one which is underlying all of this, and which can be summarized in a fairly similar way. So, my point number two here is, they're showing that you can either go out and manage the margins. And managing the margins is basically going out and tweaking your copy and your landing page and improving your conversion rate or opt-in rate from 16 to 20% and all that good stuff, right? But at the end of the day, really what happens is that the cost of advertising outpaces the speed at which you can do those little tweaks. But if you go in and start multiplying your traffic by going viral, and as you see here, it's like I'm not talking about creating viral videos, because that is virtually impossible for almost anyone, right? Most people who create a viral video, they are lucky, they strike gold, and thank you very much. Yes, there are some people who are very good at creating viral videos, but they charge 7 figures for helping you out. So, for most of us, that's basically out of our reach. But really what you're doing is, when you're going viral, and you can do this in a strategic way, you multiply your traffic. You're no longer doing the X% increase, the 3% here and the 5% here. You're suddenly doubling, quadrupling your traffic, and as a result, the cost of your new lead, or each lead, goes down exponentially. And suddenly, that means no matter how much the initial cost is for one click on, for example, Facebook, it is suddenly affordable again. So now you start to see how that second point, it's a lot more wordy, and it requires some work here, but it is possible to go out and position this as those who go, those who multiply their traffic win, because they can outpace the increase in ad cost. Whereas those who try managing the margins, who try to optimize and tweak, they basically will be overtaken by the increase in ad costs. It's as simple as that, right? So now, look, it even made sense in my head. So there you go. 2 examples of how this whole thing works, this core concept. We're now at 19 minutes. I can't believe it. But I think it's worth the 19 minutes, and I hope you agree it's worth the 19 minutes of your time. That core concept of finding a message and splitting it in 2 and simplifying it down to those who do X win, and then demonstrating that, and those who don't do X lose. And you keep repeating that 3, 4, 5 times throughout. You're not doing that to manipulate people. You're doing it to polarize your audience. And when I say polarize, it basically, those who ultimately get it, they get it at an intellectual level and say, you know what, I want to go and try this out. I believe this, I've seen the evidence, this should be possible, I think I can do it. Now you have such an easy life getting them results because they're willing to go and give it a go. Whereas those who deep down doubt it, they go, I don't think so. I don't think, in this case, for example, this sort of, multiply my traffic by going viral. I don't think that's possible for me. You'd end up constantly trying to persuade them and bonus them to death, and still they're going, man, I don't want to. So make your own life easy and simple by using this principle here. And now I'm having a bit of fun here, right? So now I've just given you an example where you can either align with it or you're not. You can either say, hey, I get it, this is such a powerful approach, I'm going to go and try it out. Or you're going to go, you know what, I don't think so. I don't think this is really at the core of any marketing. Or my thing is so special, I can't possibly apply this. So I'll tell you what, if you believe this is possible, and not only possible, but also the key to creating powerful ad campaigns. And when I say powerful, I mean ROI positive plus also socially friendly, where you get rewarded with lots of traffic from Facebook. Leave me a message, leave a comment down below the video, reply to the email, whatever. Or of course, go to the site if you haven't signed up. If you see this on YouTube and this is the first one you see, there's a bunch of videos before this that goes into the ACT framework, into the whole attraction, conversation and transformation, and then the gem, which is the graceful email marketing, which comes afterwards. Because a lot of the conversation, of course, these days, at least the profitable one, happens on email. So there you go. If you believe this is a point worth looking at, let me know, right? Reach out, because it's at the core of this whole ACT and GEM framework. It is about polarizing in the spirit of serving people, not in the spirit of exploiting, not at all. It's serving both audiences. Those who believe in it have an easy time getting their results, and those who don't believe it, well, they're not wasting the time. They're not going to be bonused to death. But even, if you're not interested in ACT, but if you believe in this or you've observed this in your own life, leave a comment down below. And even if you don't leave a comment, I always appreciate a comment or a shout out. Have a look at marketing that appeals to you. Have a look at other people's products and start looking for this element. Start looking for someone polarizing in the sense of saying, repeating, hey, if you do this, you will win. And if you don't, you lose. You will see this from time to time, and I can pretty much guarantee you will see it more and more, especially in successful ad campaigns on social media, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, because it is one of the fundamental principles of creating good content that appeals to the right audience in a way that is Facebook friendly and YouTube friendly, so you can get good engagement and good, and this is the key thing then, follow up in the sense of people then actually sign up to your list or buy your product, which is all signals to the Facebooks and YouTubes of this world that they are promoting good content and hence should send you more traffic. Alrighty, there you go. Enjoy. Let me know what you think. Cheers. Bye.